a lot of the judges like, recently have been asking us about ISIS and like what we think of like President Obama because our ISIL because our questions about like how do presidents usually handle war.
So let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
You noticed last night how he said Congress should pass a resolution
Yeah, he added that.
saying, you know,
So that way
I
he
have
is legal.
for what? Not for what, but like, what difference would that actually make? Why is he saying that now?
Well, it would make it, like,
Isn't he asking them to do just basically to continue the status quo?
I mean, he wants like a vote for more military force, but I think like he's doing it to make what he's doing.
Did he ask
legal.
last night for a vote for more military force?
He
I
said
don't
that he
think so.
wanted.
He
He said
wanted
that he
or-
wanted it as like a symbolic show that the United States is united against like
Okay.
ISIL.
He wants a
So
political
if
statement.
that's true, right? If it's simply symbolic, why are we doing it? What are we really talking about? And what does that say about like war powers in general? Yeah, we have the president coming on air. It's not like FDR saying yesterday. How about that today, December 7th, 1940? The United States of America was
It is
attacked.
today, right?
It
It is today.
But, you know, he started going on and he's saying, Congress should pass a resolution doing X, which will allow me to continue doing exactly what I'm doing. So that I sort of, and I thought about you guys when he said that, because I was thinking like, huh, isn't that interesting? Like, is it really just symbolic? And what does that say about the state of affairs with war powers today, that like the authorization the president needs is simply symbolic?
I forgot exactly the question that was asked, but we're talking about how like what Obama is doing is like it's technically legal because the AUMF like doesn't include ISIS. But then like our judges after that were like we recognize that like what he's doing is technically legal, but like illegal. But like what you're saying is like
But they were like, but
Do you
don't
want-
say that.
Because
They were like,
they're
that's too extreme.
They're like, what is the president supposed to do? Because it's not like a nation; it's just like these groups, and like we don't know. Like, it's a war on terror, but like where's so like with our amendment that we proposed to like combat the war powers resolution, it kind of restricts the president, and then they're like, well, nothing will happen because Congress doesn't do anything. So like I was kind of stumped. We were just stumped.
Like if we couldn't say that what he was doing is wrong, like what did we say?
Well, you can't say what he's doing is wrong.
no, we did
Yeah.
say that because in the AUMF like it authorized President Bush to attack Al Qaeda and any affiliates of Al Qaeda, and then like what we're considering now ISIS to be an affiliate of Al Qaeda, but they're enemies. So technically, the AUMF does not allow President Obama to attack ISIS at all, and that's why what he's doing is illegal.
So why wouldn't the option just be get Congress to pass a resolution approving the use of
Because
force
Congress,
against ISIS?
Congress is a gridlock, and they don't actually.
So that right. So what are the benefits of having Congress in gridlock on that issue?
Not wasting lives without.
Not acting too fast, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And is that a principle we want to abandon even in the face of terror?
No, that was our response.
So we want to be smart about the way we move about and how we do things, right? Which is good. On the one hand, we have gridlock on the issue. On the other hand, what are the disadvantages?
Not ever being, if it's like an imminent situation.
You need to have the power to respond, don't you? Right? So there's a balance there. And to begin with, I think as a group, you need to recognize that balance. So whether it's in a waterfall, somebody acknowledging, listen, if we make it easier for the president just to declare an action and go to war, you know, we're going to be getting ourselves into situations that we don't want to be involved in. On the other hand, right, if we make it too hard, the United States won't be able to effectively respond to, you know, acts of terror that are becoming all too, you know, quick. And this is not like somebody is sending an armada to our shores. And it's like, oh, we see ya. You're going to come get us. We're preparing. Hold on. You know, times have changed, right? It's not a bomber dropping a bomb. It's a guy walking into a station with a backpack. And so you need to be able to adapt to that and to respond. So there's already always been more flexibility. Always been more flexibility in war powers than with other sort of rights. Like we give them, the president, the right to toe the line. And look, we've killed a hell of a lot of people in the last 5-6 decades without ever declaring war once.
Yeah.
Right? Vietnam, Korea.
We list them all.
So yeah.
But we got you covered.
So they didn't like the word technically illegal.
Well, they They just
didn't
didn't
like
like that we were not approving of the war on ISIS.
They thought we were too liberal for conservative issue, and they thought saying illegal was kind of like too passionate, and like we didn't want to offend anybody.
Like they said that we were using conservative points to prove our liberal stance on this.
Freaking Connecticut teenagers.
I didn't even really understand
I didn't
the
get
criticism.
I didn't get that.
All right, I can look at the video, but I think the point is you have to at least acknowledge for credibility that if you want to say technically what he's doing violates the law, I would say that'd be fine if the next sentence is, however, we are not suggesting that he stop what he's doing, but rather that the law be amended to comply or to fit within what he's doing, right?
I think basically.
So that's the idea. Like, you want to say that, and sorry to cut you off, but the point is, if you're trying to argue the president should have the flexibility to respond to the evolving threats of terror, which take much different forms and much different shapes than they used to, perhaps when the War Powers Act was passed, that is totally fair argument, right? And if
Well, we're saying
Kinda
kind of
saying
the
the
opposite.
opposite.
We're saying that like the president shouldn't
We're
really
trying to
have the power.
restrict his flexibility.
We're saying that
Which
like
is what they
it
had an
shouldn't
issue
like
with.
go through Congress because Congress can only declare war. Like the president can make war, but like we've been in like.
and you agree with this 30 to 60 day period in which he's got to get authorization for the extended use, or?
No, I think we kind of like make the point that like we can't abandon our allies in conflict, but like regardless, like we should have a declaration.
Look,
of war.
if you're going to make the point that it should be harder for the president to do this, you're going to run up into this question of, well, like, aren't you sort of tying the United States' hands behind their back at a time where, we need to be letting them explore and do some things with more flexibility. Like, war is messy, and so, like, our laws need to recognize and reflect that by giving us some flexibility. At the very least, somebody's got to acknowledge that from your unit.
Yeah.
I would not take this unified stance that we should never send a soldier anywhere without 100 people who can't agree on, like, the most basic of issues, when we're talking about the deployment of military.